friends. Welcome to Shine Classes. Can you tell me one thing? A human, plant, and animal, what do they have in common? A human, a plant, and an animal. They all are made up of cells. But today, we will do the topic, the cell, class 7. What is a cell? A cell is extremely small, tiny thing, extremely small, tiny, and most of the cells cannot be seen with naked eyes. Cannot be seen with naked eyes. How can we see them then? How can we see them? We can see them with the help of some aids like microscope. Cell, if we need to define it, can say just as a building, just as a building is made up of bricks. In the same way, human body and plant body and you can say all organisms, microorganisms, including microorganisms, they are made up of cells. You can say just as a brick, a small brick is the smallest structural unit of a building. It is the smallest structural unit of a building. In the same way, cell is defined as the structural and functional unit of life. All the life activities which we see in living organisms, they are all carried out inside the cell. So, cell is a functional unit of life. And all the structural things of a organism, it's made by the, just like a building is made up of many bricks, in the same way, living organisms are made up of cells. Some organisms like amoeba consist of only one cell. So they are called unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms. Human, plant, and animals are made up of many cells. Therefore, they are called multicellular organisms. If an organism is made up of many cells, it's called a multicellular organism. Now let's talk about parts of a cell. If in a simple way we want to represent a cell, we can draw it like this. A cell has outermost covering that's called cell membrane. Inside, in the center, there is a nucleus. And here in between the cell membrane and the nucleus, there is a fluid which is called as cytoplasm. Then inside this cytoplasm, there are many cell organelles which we will discuss one by one. What is the function of this cell membrane? The cell membrane separates the cell from its surroundings and controls what enters and leaves the cell. What enters the cell and what leaves the cell, that is controlled with the help of this cell membrane. We can think of it as a security guard which decides what can enter and what cannot enter and what can leave from the cell. Next, we will talk about cytoplasm. Let's talk about cytoplasm. Inside the cell membrane, there is a jelly-like substance. You all must have eaten jelly. I don't much be knowing what's the consistency of jelly. So inside this cell membrane here, there is a jelly-like substance which is called the cytoplasm. Most of the important chemical reactions take place inside the cytoplasm. Most of the chemical reactions of the cell take place inside the cell, inside this cytoplasm. The next we will talk about this, the part which is in the center almost. This is nucleus. This is the most important part of a cell. Most important part of a cell. Because it contains the genetic material, mainly in the form of DNA. The full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, which you'll study in higher classes. Now we know that all cells are made up of these three main parts: cell membrane, then the nucleus, then the cytoplasm. So all these three parts are present in all cells, whether it is plant cell or animal cell. We must know, is there any difference between a plant cell and an animal cell? Or do they look like same to each other? No. Plant cell is different from animal cell. We know plants and animals, they vary, they are different from each other. Like plants can make their own food, animals cannot make their own food. Plants are green in color, animals are not necessarily green. Plants are fixed to one place, almost they keep fixed to the soil forever. Animals move from one place to another. Just as the plants and animals are different from each other, there are some differences in their cellular makeup also. Their cells are a bit different from each other. Plant cells have some structures that animal cells don't have. For example, plant cells have a cell wall outside the cell membrane. Just we have seen these diagrams here. This is the cell wall which is outside the cell membrane. This is cell membrane here, and outside this there is the cell wall. What is the function of this cell wall? It provides extra support. It provides extra support and protection. Extra support and protection. Then there is another organelle inside a plant cell, that is chloroplast. Chloroplast contains chlorophyll, a green colored pigment which helps plants to carry out the food making mechanism, that is photosynthesis. You know, the green plants can make their own food with the help of sunlight, the sunlight. Synthesis means food, and this photosynthesis takes place in green leaves in the presence of chlorophyll. In the presence of chlorophyll, which is present inside the vessels called chloroplasts. Then the third main part is the large vacuole, the large central vacuole. Plant cells have large central vacuole. These large vacuoles are filled with cell sap. They are filled with cell sap and helps maintain the shape of the cell. This large central vacuole helps to maintain the shape of the cell. It helps to maintain the shape of the cell. In an animal cell here, we will see that animal cells have a cell membrane only. Cell wall is absent here. There is no cell wall in a plant cell, in an animal cell. They do not have a cell wall. Animal cells do not have a cell wall. It's absent. And the vacuoles in the animal cell are generally much smaller. The vacuoles are generally much smaller. And there is no huge central vacuole. There is not any large central vacuole. You can see here in this, in this plant cell, there is a big central vacuole here. See, this is a vacuole, big vacuole. But in this animal cell, the vacuoles are very small. You can see vacuole. This is vacuole, small vacuole. This is small vacuole. This is small vacuole. So I hope plant cell and animal cells are different from each other, and the differences you have well understood now. Let's revise. Cell is the basic unit of life. It has a cell membrane. What does a cell membrane do? It controls what can go inside the cell and what can leave out of the cell. Then next is nucleus, which controls all cell activities and contains genetic material in the form of DNA. And it also controls all cell activities. Just in the same way as the brain controls all activities of our body, nucleus controls all activities of the cell. Then in a plant cell, there is cell wall also. Cell wall gives plant cells support and protection. Then chloroplasts, only in plant cells, required for photosynthesis. Then vacuole stores substances and helps maintain the shell shape. Vacuole stores substances and helps to maintain the shape of the cell and maintains the shape of the cell. If you like this topic and have understood the topic, like and subscribe the channel. Wait for the new informative videos. Thank you. Goodbye.